Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Noir Histoire. I'm Natasha, and today I'll be reviewing Django Unchained. Django Unchained is a movie set 2 years before the Civil War and tells the story of a slave named Django, played by Jamie Foxx. Dr. King Schultz, played by Christoph Waltz, seeks out Django's help with identifying and hunting down a trio of wanted criminals. In exchange, Schultz promises Django his freedom and the opportunity to save his wife from bondage. Django pretends to be a free man to avoid arousing suspicion. The first bit of business is dressing the part, and Django is excited by the small but meaningful opportunity to choose his own clothes. He selects a blue suit, white ruffle shirt, and white stockings. If you can imagine a cross between the Seinfeld pirate blouse and Prince's shirts versus blouses out from the Dave Chappelle show skit, that's like what his outfit looked like. The duo finds the criminals and engages them in a gunslinging showdown that leads to a slapstick nighttime clan-like meeting. Django and Dr. Schultz pursue more bounties while working on a plan to find and rescue Django's wife, Brunhilde, played by Kerry Washington. And therein lies the problem with the movie. Quentin Tarantino handles the bounty hunting parts of the film well, but he loses his mojo when the story shifts to the rescue of Brunhilde. During the film's promotion, Kerry Washington lauded the film as being different because it's about the rescue of a black woman. This plot device is often used, but rarely with regards to black female characters. Black women are often portrayed as having a superhuman ability to cope with and overcome struggles. This diminishes the feelings of black women and our ability to experience pain. It strips away our humanity by portraying us as beasts of burden who can carry the responsibilities of the world without feeling the weight. Throughout much of Django Unchained, Brunhilde is only seen through a series of flashbacks intended to show why she's worthy of rescue. But Brunhilde is Django's wife, and they're separated by the injustice of slavery. That's enough justification for explaining why he'd want to rescue her. Yet, instead of fleshing out the character, we get repetitive scenes of torture. Django Unchained steps outside the norm by not portraying Brunhilde as a superwoman, falls short of being unique by not portraying her as a person either. Tarantino seems to say to the audience, I'm going to torture this woman so you don't forget the reason for this mission, and that this movie is about slavery, which is bad. I mean, way to go, Captain Obvious. It's heavy-handed and doesn't add anything to the story. Django and Dr. Schultz learn that the owner of a large Mississippi plantation has purchased Brunhilde. We first meet the slaver, Calvin Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, in a men's club. He's watching and cheering on the brutality of a Mandingo fight in the surroundings of a fancy club. The setup is a spot-on representation of both Candy and slavery in the South, a false, genteel veneer that masks cruelty and inhumanity. Candy is the obvious villain, and DiCaprio received great reviews for his performance, but I thought Stephen, played by Samuel L. Jackson, the busybody house slave, overshadowed Candy. Stephen was detestable and Jackson played him well. Stephen would often interrupt conversations or utter bits of nonsense. I hope that one of the other characters would just karate chop him in the throat or kick away his cane. Annoying? Aggravating? These terms don't begin to describe Stephen. He's that kid who would tattle about every and anything, but he's grown up to be a cold-hearted and miserable old man that nobody visits because he was always such a jerk. Stephen is a character you will love to hate, and he was the bright spot in the last 30 to 45 minutes of the movie as it descended into overdone cartoonish violence. Tarantino is a well-regarded director, but his movies have a tendency to go off the rails. Tarantino's films are violent. It's kind of what he's known for. I don't have a problem with violence in film or literature as long as it's relevant to the story. But Tarantino overindulged here, and it turned a unique concept into childish fantasies. What could have been a great story ended up taking a backseat to over-the-top violence. Django Unchained is pretty much a western set during slavery. You'll enjoy Django Unchained if you like westerns and are into gunfights and bandits. There's also a bit of romance as Django's motivation through much of the film is his desire to save his wife. I had high hopes for Django Unchained. The majority of Django Unchained lived up to my expectations, but it started falling apart towards the end. It would have been a better film if Tarantino had developed the characters in the story instead of relying on gimmicks. But if you're a fan of Tarantino's work or like a lot of special effects, you might actually enjoy the ending. If you've already seen Django Unchained, I'd love to know what you thought of the movie. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe to the Noir Histoire channel. Visit noirhistoire.com for more book and movie reviews, in addition to Black history facts and profiles of Black historical figures. While you're there, sign up for the newsletter to get fresh content delivered straight to your inbox. If you prefer to listen on the go, subscribe to the Noir Histoire podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Follow Noir Histoire on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Google+. Thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.